Welcome to Orange County Power Players, where we spotlight the personal, professional, and financial success stories of OC's top leaders. Here's your host, Danny Flores.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Today we have Chris Robinson from Empowering Investing as our guest. Chris has been in the real estate industry for over 20 years. He bought his first property when he was 18 years old. He's executed on over $50 million worth of transactions. And he also has started a mortgage brokerage business that's doing really well. In 2009, he started a lending fund buying properties and has had over $150 million in originations. Currently, he manages over $100 million in assets, and he has done over 1,000 transactions. And he looks pretty young. So, Chris, welcome to our podcast. Looks like you've done a whole lot of things and you've been very successful doing them. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Danny. Appreciate it here. I love real estate. I've studied real estate for a long time. Got started learning about it when I was a teenager, reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, playing games like his cash flow game, and really wanted to figure that game out and that industry out. And so it's been a constant study from then until now. I can still continue to take classes and learn and work with other more experts. And so it's been a lot of fun, over the years.
And so you've done different things in the real estate industry. What gets you the most excited?
The most exciting thing that I like is love to work with investors and helping them learn and see how they can put their money to work and earn passive income. We call it mailbox money, which is a little bit of an outdated term now because we don't send checks out in a post office. It's ACH deposits, electronic. But how do you have that consistent cash flow coming in every month and primarily through a passive way that you're not doing any work for it?
And how does it compare investing in real estate versus investing, say, in the stock market?
I have not studied the stock market, so I can't give a ton of comparisons with that. The stock market, though, in general, has a little more volatility, I believe. Go up and can go down. That's been a complaint about from a lot of clients that I've worked with. And so real estate can be more consistent with its income, and the income you receive from that you can spend. And so a lot of people will use it as a way to live off of and increase their cash flow. And then the base investment is staying the same or increasing as well with real estate as real estate appreciates over time. So that's one of the wonderful benefits of it.
Right. Now this is a very competitive business, I think, for all of us being in the real estate business. How do you stay competitive, and what makes you stand out above everybody else?
We were just talking recently about deals. We were looking for self-storage deals for a while there. And in 2018, 2019, 2020, we could find a lot of deals that made a lot of sense where the cap rates, we were getting somewhere around a 10% cap rate on it. The financing was low. And so we had good spread and good margin on them. In the last couple of years, the cap rates have come way down. The interest rates went up. And so they just got thinner margins to work with. And so we've underwritten a ton of deals, tons and tons of deals, and we will make offers on them. But sometimes the seller's asking for 11 million, and our underwriting says we can pay 6.5 million. So we're sometimes millions of dollars apart on those. We'll still make the offer at what makes sense to us. Most of the time, we don't get a response on it, but it's really a numbers game going through a lot of different deals and options. The last couple of deals that we've done in self-storage in the last year were some type of a seller finance or creative financing to make a deal work that was both appealing for the seller and also made the numbers work on our side. So sometimes it's just being creative and structuring a deal that it can be a win-win for both players.
So out of the different asset classes in the real estate arena, which one do you like the most, or which one are you most active in? Or are you active in multiple asset classes?
Yeah, so I partner with people that are operating the properties. I've done a lot of operations and been very hands-on that stuff, but primarily what I like to work with is working with investors helping them structure their finances and reaching their goals. So helping really define some goals, what it is they want to accomplish, and showing some different ways to position their assets in a way that'll help accomplish those goals. Is primarily what the biggest thing that is interesting to me. Yes, we have some multifamily. We've done ground up construction development. We've got a 300 unit project right now that we're working on. We've got hospitality properties. We've done luxury homes and self-storage properties and smaller multifamily value add. And I think all that background is like, oh my gosh, you've done a bunch of different things. It's sort of random. But it's my background of hard money lending and doing bridge financing. And so when we have a fund, we make loans on a bunch of different properties and a bunch of different asset classes. And so it just feels natural to be sort of spread out in a bunch of different things. But knowing that I've got operating partners that are taking care of the day-to-day on each of those, I don't have to be the expert on self-storage or the expert on the ground up, but in some of those high-level meetings and decisions and helping to drive those projects forward.
Yeah, I guess that would make it a little bit easier, right? Kind of you concentrate on finding the investors, which is a full-time job in itself,
Right.
talking to them, educating them to the current ones, and then looking for new ones and being able to park that money with you partnering up with an operator that can produce the results that you're looking for.
Right.
Seems like a really important thing to do. What comes easy and what comes more difficult for you in your business? Trying to understand, like, what do you have to go through?
Yeah, so I think the easier thing for me, or one of my skill sets that I can see value in properties. I can say, okay, right now, this property, we're going to buy it for 16 million and we're going to put some money into it, but I can see that the back end value, like on one project that we have at the hospitality property, we can make it worth $100 million. And so there's a lot of room in there. There's going to be some development costs, but we don't need to spend 80 million to make it worth 100. Maybe we'll spend 20 or 30 and then have smart operations on it and that history and track record behind us. And then we'll grow that property up there. So sometimes it's just looking at that going, hey, this is a good value basis off of the land and location and what it is and the uniqueness of it. So that's the hospitality property. It's more of an irreplaceable kind of a property versus sort of multifamily inside of a city. They can be built on any block really. And it's a little bit different there on that. But yeah, I mean, the hard part is getting, and I would say in any syndication deal is aligning all the pieces at the right timing. You got to get your limited partners money together. You've got to get your debt financing together. You got to get the seller together and operations together and sort of get them all to go and say, okay, boom, we're synchronized and we're funded and we're moving forward. And that's a lot of pieces to get lined up and get there. And I think that's the challenge that anybody has that's in this space, but just sort of natural that comes with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like you get the property in escrow and it's like, it's go time, right? You got 60 days, maybe. We always write our contracts to have a 30-day extension just in case.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like, it's crazy. Everybody's working together and trying to get the investors to send their money. Sometimes they're on vacation and in a yacht somewhere or in an island. And it's just like, that's not my priority right now, but it's like, we gotta get this done.
Yeah, you committed to it. She said you'd be part of it. Let's act and follow through here so we can, have the success in the project. Yeah.
Right. And you have to be gentle, right? Gentle nudges. You can't say, hey, what happened? They just, gently nudge them and say, hey, we got to get this across the finish line. So that's kind of always interesting in how that comes together. But I guess if you do it enough times, you can pull it off, right? One way or the other.
Yep. Yeah. You figure it out and have a few different tricks in your pocket or people that can help bridge a gap there for a short time if they don't want to be long-term in the project while the other people come in that may be slower or different.
Right. Yeah. And that's why relationships are so important, right? The relationships with the investors and relationships with your money people. Maybe you have to do a short-term loan, a gap loan. I mean, I think you do it enough times, you got enough resources to figure it out, get it across there. So if somebody's listening to us and wants to get started in the business, what would you suggest they do, and what kind of tips do you have to help them become successful in fundraising or even operating deals?
Yeah, if they want to get started on the operation side or being a general partner, I think one thing to realize is once you're working on large deals, it's really a team sport. You're working with multiple people and trying to get this thing together. Generally, it's not an isolated one person on their own. Getting all of this together. Uh, you were talking about having an acquisitions team and some different pieces that you have that says, okay, we got to go find deals, we got to raise money, we got to underwrite, we got to get our financing together, and so there's usually you have multiple people are focused on different parts of these and areas they enjoy more. Some people are really analytical and they love to dive down on the numbers and run it 10 different ways and say how this deal could work or how it won't work and stress test it and kind of de-risk it.
Right.
So putting together a team of people that you want to work with that's in alignment with your values and personality type, and finding somebody that has some strengths in areas that maybe you're not as strong in, that can be a great way. If you're really starting out small, I would say get started. Go buy a piece of property and just get your feet wet, and so you start to get some experience.
Right.
It's going to be harder to work with other larger operators if you have no experience behind your belt. You're under your belt there.
Right.
I've seen some other people that go and work for larger companies and get experience that way. And so maybe they're not the general partner themselves directly, but they're working with a larger company. And so they're seeing some of the inner works of it. Maybe they're going to be an analyst for that company and just start underwriting deals. And so they start to see stuff.
Right.
So a handful of different ways to get in the business. Yeah.
Yeah, those are really good suggestions if you're trying to get in the business and trying to learn. Probably even being with like a large operator and saying, hey, you know what? I'll work, just pay me anything you want. It's the knowledge that I'm trying to get out of here. And have them teach you. It's like going to school, right? That you're paying for your classes, so you kind of figure it. Okay, this is like taking a class, not a formal class, but kind of an apprenticeship type of a deal, and learn how the operations work, and then maybe figuring out what are you going to be good at, right? Because there's different pieces: the acquisition side, the asset management side, the property management side, the fundraising side. I mean, this.
Investor relationships. Yeah. There's so many different parts to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to keep it all going there.
And that's why you said it's a team sport, because not one person can do it all. You got to have good people sitting in each different seat to be able to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now that you've had a taste of, and you've been in it a while, what's one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in your career? Because you're making it sound really easy, and
I've had a lot of stressful projects. I mean, yeah, ask my wife. Like that's
yeah,
the best person to talk about. Yeah, no, there's times that I commit on a deal and then we don't get the funding and the time frame or the path that we think that we're going to get it, and so then it's just the consistent persistence to say, okay, that one didn't work. Let's try plan B. Oh, we're on to plan C, D, E, F, G. And you just keep going through it until you figure a solution out. So I mean, it's that persistence to say I'm going to get it figured out here, no matter what. Failure is not an option, and pick yourself up and just keep trying and trying until you get it there. There's a lot of deals, especially as you stretch yourself, and you like I recently, I've stretched myself and gone onto some bigger deals, and different types of deals, and there's been some real big challenges and a lot of stressful days, and going, okay, how am I going to figure this one out?
Yeah.
And what it's done is it's given me an opportunity to really force myself to go talk to more people, to expand my network, to go pick brains of other people that have had more experience in different areas than I have had, and say, okay, how can I accomplish this? How can I get around this? How can I overcome this? And so I would say in the last 6 months or so, I've really expanded my network because I needed to. I just said, okay, I've got to have other people that have done bigger things than I've done and are smarter and have more experience and be able to pick their brain and help me get it figured out. So, yeah.
Yeah, that seems like super important, to be able to have a network that you can reach into and ask for help. I remember being in the, when I started in the business years ago, I had a building that I was having trouble with, that it was kind of gang infested, and I had to clean it up, and I was just frustrated. And I had I had, and I was maybe, I don't know, 2, 3 years in the business at that time. And one of our glass guys came, and he would replace any broken windows and rescreen windows. And I was talking to him, and he goes, "Hey, I have a friend that cleaned up like a 300 unit building that was gang infested. It was one of the worst buildings in the city of Long Beach, where it had subterranean parking, and it was the building that when the cops were chasing somebody in a car, they would drive underneath there because they would lose a helicopter, and they ditch the car and run and ditch the cops. So that kind of gives you an idea of how rough that building was.
Yeah.
And these guys did a great job cleaning it up and took everybody out. They made friends with the cops. They had the cops come over, and so he told me the story. He says, "Hey," I says, "Can I talk to this guy? Give him a call and have him just talk to him about my frustrations and potentially what I can do." And I called him up, just like a cold call, and introduced myself and told him what I wanted. I asked him for half an hour of his time just to sit and talk with him. And he said, "Yeah, come on over on a Saturday." Him and his partner showed up. That half hour turned into 3 hours, and we became lifelong friends.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
And so you do that with people. In that case, I was looking for information, and he was able to help me. Now, we touch base, and sometimes I'm able to help him, and it kind of goes back and forth, right? We've developed a relationship. I have 4 boys. He's got 3 boys, just a couple years older than mine, his grouping. So it's kind
Yeah.
of cool to talk about that, family, and just stuff like that. But you do that with enough people, and then you have enough resources to be able to, whatever you need, or maybe somebody that needs something, and you're able to connect them as well.
Right.
And that's kind of key, I think, alluding to what you said, is just creating that network. And then sometimes when you're stuck somewhere, like you said, you're trying to figure it out, you're kind of forced to go out and meet people and create new relationships. It's constant, right? You got to constantly grow that network to be able to have that deeper reach for different resources.
Yeah, especially when you're in a growth mode and you want to go
Mhm.
and expand your offerings. Maybe you're doing, fourplex properties and you want to go into 10 or 20 unit properties. And okay, how do I do
Right.
it? And now you're in 10 and 20 unit properties and you want to go to 60 unit properties. So you want to find other people who've traveled that path before, who've done
Mhm.
that, and then and help you learn have fix the learning curve so you're not doing trial and error in every step and
Right.
hitting it hard with your head and saying, all right, how do we how do we jump some of these pain points and have a higher likelihood of success, but as you expand and
Yeah, yeah. Take shortcuts. If
yeah,
you
take the
why
shortcuts.
why take a beating if you don't have to?
Right. Yeah. And there's a
And
lot of
that, and then that's the other thing that you said earlier, that you learned a lot from books.
yeah.
So you're learning what somebody may have taken a lifetime to learn. You're sitting down reading that book, or if you're using an audio book, 3 or 4 hours, you just learn what somebody else did in their entire life. The key points, anything helps, right? Every little tip that you get helps in your operations and helps you learn and able to share with other people as well.
Yeah, part of with reading, I try to read every day and start my day out with that. But it gets the
Mhm.
brain just gearing and thinking a little bit different and saying, okay, get you in that new thought, new ideas kind of stage and state of mind, and
Right.
that's really helpful to start your day and approach challenges, as you go through it.
Right. What's your favorite book that you can recommend to the audience?
Well, it depends what topic, but one of my favorite all-time books is probably Pitch Anything by Oren
Uh-huh.
Klaff.
Right.
And so it just talks about how to communicate and sort of sell your idea or your concept to somebody, and so you can get just more effectively communicate. It was really funny. I saw Oren at one of the conferences I was at, and he was
Mhm.
one of the speakers, and I was such a nerd. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Oren Klaff!" I'm never star-studded, but with this
Right.
person there, I was totally starstruck, and it was quite funny. But I've read his book like 10 times. I read it and listened to it and read it and listened to it, and I was just working on a pitch a couple of years ago, and it was really helpful to help get my ideas connected and organized so I could properly communicate with people.
Right, right. Because it seems like we're pitching every day, right?
Yeah,
Whether it's a deal, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's an investor, and so you gotta have those skills, right? And maybe you're not born with it, but you can learn them if you read enough and you talk to enough people, or maybe even take classes on sales to learn how to pitch better. um, it's a constant struggle, right? You got to constantly be honing our skills and trying to learn as much as we can to be able to make it to the next level.
Yep, as you keep leveling up there.
Yeah, yeah. So as we get towards the end of our interview here, what exciting plans do you have for the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest things that I'm real excited about is more of a knowledge program and sharing that knowledge with people. And so we're setting up some courses to help people learn how to passively invest. So really working with those people that say, I don't want to be a hands-on, real estate operator. I don't want to have tenants that I got to manage. I don't want to work with property managers, but I like real estate as an asset. I like the passive income from it. And how do I do that? Because I'm on the outside, I don't know it. I met with a lady earlier this week, and she's a similar thing. She's got a couple of rental properties. She's tired of managing herself. She's not real efficient at managing them, but she would like to have some steady income from her properties. And so we went through a process with her financials and said, what are your goals? And then I looked at her finances and said, hey, here's some different ways of how those goals could be accomplished to get her the passive income. Her goal was $9,000 a month of passive income. So part of that's from her Social Security retirement, but the other part would be from real estate deals. And so showing her how that can be accomplished. And she thought it would be this big far goal. And it was like, well, we actually, if you start to rearrange a few things in the next 3 to 6 months, that can be a reality for her. And so that was really exciting. So helping people through that kind of a process is really something I'm working on and putting that program together and launching here quite soon. And so I'm really excited about that. I've helped people more in a passive way, one-to-one, sort of slow referral kind of base over the years. And so doing this in more of a formal way and helping people. So that's going to be a big exciting thing there where I can get back and feel
right
excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that must be very, very exciting and a good feeling to be able to change somebody's life like that, right? Because that's exactly what it seems like you're doing through the investments, being able to give people higher cash flow, and then that improves their quality of life as well.
Yeah, and then I'm connected with a lot of people, groups like you that have great operators, and then so I can help provide different opportunities in the real estate world. I'm really well connected with that, so likely it would be minimal of my projects, but mostly other people's projects, and saying here's this kind of project you can invest in, or that project you can invest in, and here's some reasons why I think these projects are good and these operators are good. They have enough experience in helping people vet that process, and get their money working there, and then also stay along with that follow up and see how that's going along the way.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And so thanks so much for coming on again. Thanks so much for, providing so much information on what you do. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Yeah, so we're on most of the social channels, LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook. LinkedIn's my favorite one personally. So I'm Chris Robison, Empower Investing. Can be searched up there, and we'd love to connect with you and see how we can help you out. And yeah, be great.
Awesome, Chris. Thanks so much for coming on. Look forward to keeping in touch and seeing what future projects you have going on.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me on, Danny.
Sure, thanks.
Thanks for listening to Orange County Power Players. Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at ocpowerplayers.com/guest.